This is the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 1. Now, in the 12th month, that is, the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is his son who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who ruled well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today. And citation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life for Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai's sake. I'm Brother Samak from the GMS Miami camp. And yes, the reason why I brought out the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 1, is that in the coming days, March 1st through March 3rd, we will be having Purim, okay? And Purim means lots, all right? This is something, when you read the book of Esther, Haman conducted, all right, regarding what day to pick to come against the Jews, all right, mainly southern kingdom, all right. He was able to convince King Xerxes to allow a decree on a specific day, all right, that was chosen through lots, okay, which casting lots is basically like flipping a coin or a pebble, all right, and it landed on the 12th month of Adar, all right, on the 13th day of that 12th month, okay, and you could read the story. Mordecai and Esther, all right, put their neck on the line, all right, to change that decree. And Esther, you know, by taking heed to what Mordecai was saying, went to King Xerxes, and in the king's court, by the way, okay. So that was a lot of she, a lot of strength, because no woman, would enter the king's court. All right, she went in with the king's court. She went into the king's court, and pleaded, petitioned King Xerxes, who was in love with Esther, who was one of his queens, to change that decree. Okay, and this is where we get our high holy day, because on that 13th day of Adar, all right, the decree changed. The Jews were able to go against these nations that were going to attack us, and that was very special. Okay, and that was all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, because at the end of the day, the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. All right, he changed the mind of Xerxes. Okay, and of course, in the book of Esther, Haman was hanged, and as well as his sons were hanged. And Haman is an Edomite, okay, an Amalekite, okay. So, and that's why I brought out Esther chapter 9, verse 1, because we're coming into this high holy day, which starts March 1st to the 3rd, all right, and these JJs will be celebrating it too, okay. Oh, IUIC, all right. The only time Purim can be celebrated is during a full moon, okay? Because if you don't how can I say this? If you stop looking at the Gregorian calendar, all right, to mark your the high holy days, and look at the moon cycles, you could clearly see that Purim as well as Passover, they land, okay, on a full moon, okay, all right, around the full moon, which that's the 14th day. All right, with Purim, it starts actually on the 13th day, and then it goes 14 and 15. Okay, because if you continue reading Esther, all right, it's going to get to the point where it says, all right, this is the slaying. This is when the Jews slain, all right, 500 men in Shushan, the palace, and then the 10 sons of Haman. Yep, they got put to death, and Haman was already hanged on the gallows. He was already put to death. All right, so then his sons got it too. All right. Let me get to the. So yeah, here it is. So Esther chapter 9 verse 17. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, right? So the 13th day would be like, okay, this year would be March 1st, right? Okay. And on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. You see? All right. 18. But the Jews that were in Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same day rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Okay? So that's why, our high holy day, we celebrated 3 days. And for this year, it's March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Okay? And again, this is all around the full moon. I wanted to make that a point. All right? So what's so special about this is that not only this is our high holy day, these wicked Amalekites, all right, which are descendant of Esau, Edom, they're celebrating their Purim too. All right? But what's so interesting about it is that reports are coming in is that this is when they're going to, okay, go against the Persians, all right, to commemorate the defeat of the Persian plot against the Jews. So this is very, okay, significant, and that's why I'm going to title this the Purim Blood Moon Total Lunar Eclipse is association with war. All right, because hey, everything is spiritual, and we live in a time of prophecy. All right, so a total lunar eclipse blood moon will occur on March 3rd, 2026. Okay, that's on a full moon. The only time you can have a lunar eclipse is on a full moon, IUIC. Okay. All right, which that would mark the 14th. Okay, 14th, 15th day. All right. Because really, our 14th day Sabbath starts on March 2nd. That's a Monday night into Tuesday night. Okay, so yeah, that's really when the full the 14th day or the what's it called, the full moon is at its full begins on the 14th day, which is March the 2nd. Okay. All right. And there's reports coming in that it will be on that Tuesday, okay, that the JJs will strike Iran, and maybe even America will participate in that. So a total lunar eclipse blood moon will occur on March 3rd, 2026, directly coinciding with the our Israelite holiday of Purim, which commemorates the defeat of the Persian plot against the Jews. All right, it really was the defeat against Haman. Okay, with his evil plot. All right, that's really Xerxes was just honoring what Esther petitioned. Okay. Prophecy commentators are noting the significance of this celestial event occurring during heightened tensions between the statehood of the JJs and Iran, suggesting potential prophetic parallel to Purim's story, which is set in modern day Iran. And really, this Purim is for us, because the Lord is going to use these wars to liberate us. Okay? See, you JJs, you got it all twisted and messed up. All right, you're not the chosen people. The Lord is using you. All right, using your belief against you. Okay, that's why the scriptures says in Job chapter 12 verse 16, with him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. Okay, I even asked Google AI, does Benjamin Netanyahu believe Iran is Haman or Edom? Benjamin Netanyahu has specifically identified Iran as the modern day equivalent to Haman, the villain of the biblical book of Esther. And see, this guy, this devil, Bibi, all right, he doesn't understand that Haman is your forefather, okay? Haman is an Amalekite, just like you, okay? Just like you. The villain of the biblical book of Esther, who plotted to destroy the southern kingdom, all right, Judea people in ancient Persia, okay? Iran as Haman. Netanyahu has frequently invoked the story of Purim to warn Iran against threatening Israel, stating 2,500 years ago, another Persian tyrant tried to destroy the Judea people, Jews, and just as he failed, then you will fail today, okay? And again, all right, you Amalekites, all right, you're not the chosen people, all right, but the Lord is using what you believe, okay, against you to get this war kicked off. Okay, so let's go back to this. So it says timing. The blood moon on March 3rd, 2026 falls on the day of Purim. All right, and Purim's actually 3 days. Okay, 13. It actually in the month of Adar. All right, which we're in the month of Adar, or what's it called? Which means the 12th month, and Adar means glorious. Okay, and it's the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. Okay, and we're taking that number 13 back, because again, in the book of Esther, all right, let me go back up. All right, Esther chapter 9 verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. Adar means glorious. Let's double check, fact check, double check, triple check. Adar, glorious. All right, 12th month, corresponding to the modern March or April, right? And sometimes it may fall in March, and sometimes it may fall in April, all right? And sometimes it may fall in February. It just depends on the rotation of the moon, not the Gregorian calendar, IUIC, okay? And again, if you are celebrating Purim, that means you have to acknowledge that Purim falls on the full moon, all right? It has to fall on around the full moon, or on the full moon, okay? Because again, 13th day, that's when it starts. On the 13th day, okay, of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution. Right, so we're taking this 13 back. So there's nothing wrong rocking number 13. That's our number. F these Illuminati clowns, okay? We taking that number back. All right, we're taking everything back. You think you can glorify the number 13? Wrong. Number 13 is our number, okay? That's our number. Freaking what's it called? Always stealing our shit, man. All right. There was a term back in the day. It's called swagger jacker. Let me see if that term is being used. Back in the day when I was in my 20s, the term was called swagger jacker, right? Meaning, swagger is slang for someone who steals or copies another person's unique style, mannerism, slang, or personal brand. Right. That's you Edomites. That's you Amalekites, more specifically, from the tribe. You're one of the tribes of Edom. You're a swagger jacker, all right? You steal our shit, all right? You ain't original, okay? Number 13's our number. We taking it back. I have a number 13 jersey, okay? With it says Mordecai too, all right? Because I read this book of Esther, all right? And I was like, yo, the 13th day is when we, okay, got the victory. Fuck yeah, I'm taking that number back. I'm taking that number back. This is our number. All right. So, yeah, so there's nothing wrong rocking the number 13. Don't let none of these, all right, clowns in the conspiracy theory world, oh, he's rocking 13. He's working the left-hand side. All right. No, 13's our number. How about that? Okay. I remember why did I? Oh, yeah, because that weirdo, Mr. Pegger, Okay, former high priest Al-Azhar, he got on Apostle Ricard for having a 13 jacket. You know, he was trying to go into some left. Oh, it's left hand. It's secret society stuff. Like, shut that and look at him now. All right, all right. Shut that shit down. Look at how the Lord, okay, vindicated, okay, us once again, because people like him were totally off. All right. Execution. The day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. Okay. So this is associated with war. All right. And them JJs are using this this historical account, which is our story, to justify going to war. Okay. So let's back to the blood moon. Okay. So Lord willing, y'all tracking, you know. Lord willing, that this is coherent, you know, for the elect's sake. This is for the elect. You know, you scoffers and heathens that watch, and 2/3 that, you know, nitpick at every little phrase or word we say, and we don't pronounce it, or we stutter, or we say or right. Get ready to go to war, motherfuckers. You're going into war. Get ready to get drafted. Get ready to see your family get put to death, because these are the times we in. How about that? Okay? We're in time of war, and there ain't no getting out of it. All right? These JJs, all right, like BB said, they're fighting a 7-front war with a whole bunch of different groups and nations. They even want to go against Turkey, okay, which is a NATO ally. Where the fuck do you think this is all going to? All right? Salakia for going on a tangent. Brothers and sisters that are part of the elect, or hopeful elect, okay? Because we don't know if we're part of the elect. We just call ourselves the hopeful elect. So back to this. Timing. The blood moon on March 3rd, 26 falls on the day of Purim, following a series of significant lunar events and escalating geopolitical conflicts. If you've been living underneath a rock, all right, then you're, unless you've been living underneath a rock, that old saying, you're completely, all right, should be seeing that this is happening. Prophetic interpretations. Many connect this event to the book of Joel and Acts 2. That's right. Interpreting blood moons as a sign of great and terrible day of the Lord for these heathens. Okay, not for the elect of Israel, all right, which consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans mainly, as well as the Israelite foreigners that are scattered among the nations that may even look like the other nations, because you're going to have Israelites that look like Caucasians, look like JJs, look like East Indian, look like Arabs, look like Hamites, all right, look like Moabites, you know, so-called Chinese, look like Ammonites, look like so-called Japanese, look like the different tribes from Japhet's descendants, all right, which are like, you know, the Filipinos and Samoans, all right. Okay, you're gonna have Israelites that look like them because we were scattered. That was part of the judgment. All right, but they're going to acknowledge that they are an Israelite and they belong to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jacob is a progenitor of the 12 tribes. Okay, so again, the elect are going to be rejoicing. All right, while you wicked people, you got to prepare. All right, well, you're not going to prepare, but get ready for. You're not going to get ready. You're going to have to eat judgment. How about that? Because this is the time that we're in. Let me go to Joel 2, since it mentions it. The book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. Right. You're seeing that among Israelites, and you're seeing that amongst the heathens. Okay. 29, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit, right? The spirit of understanding. And that's only pertains to the Israelites. That's why it says my spirit. Okay? Let me see something here. Let me see if they got a cross-reference. Yeah. I guess this is the scripture they want to bring out. But the Gentiles are referring to Israelites. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 13. For by one Spirit, again, from the Most Highs, we are all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, talking about Israelite foreigners, whether it be bond or free, have been all made to drink into one spirit, right? The one spirit of understanding the scriptures, all right, and this and the spirit comes from the Most High. He provides us the Comforter, all right, which is the Ruach Kodash, the Spirit Holy, okay. So yeah, just want to break that down. 30. And I will show wonders in heavens and in earth, blood and fire, pillars and smoke. Right, this blood moon. Again, the title of this lesson is going to be Blood Moon Total Lunar Eclipse. Purim, excuse me. Got to emphasize that. Purim, which means lots. All right. And there's nothing wrong with conducting lots, by the way. That's part of our culture and heritage. All right. IUIC. Okay. So I believe I heard a story. I believe it was Apostle Tahar that said Bishop Nathaniel called him wicked for saying, hey, let's cast lots on the whole Cornelius breakdown. But I want to show you something. All right. This is reminding me. Where's it at? Casting lots. Yeah, let me do it this way. Okay. What does it mean to cast lots in the Bible? Check this out. Casting lots in the Bible was a method of determining God's will or making unbiased, impartial decisions by interpreting the outcome of a random event. You see that? Such as throwing marked stones, sticks, or pot sherds. It was used to solve disputes, allocate land, or choose individual specific roles, acting as a divine coin toss, where the final decision was believed to come from God, not chance. Right. So this is part of our culture and heritage. All right. And overall, it was an ancient custom. Right. That's why when you read in Esther, all right, Haman casted lots to, all right, to pick which day to come against us, which that backfired. All praise and glory to Yahweh Bashim Shai for raising up Mordecai and Esther. But this is part of our culture, and overall, this is a culture this was a custom that was done in the ancient times. But this is part of our culture. So that whole event that transpired, Bishop Nathaniel calling, I believe it was Apostle Tahar that said, "Hey, let's do let's cast lots, all right, to see if we're right regarding the whole Cornelius." What Bishop Nathaniel said was off, all right, which goes to show you that he wasn't rooted in this truth. He wasn't rooted in the scriptures, because there's so many accounts, like right here. Look, common examples: dividing the promised land. Joshua used lots to distribute the territory among the tribes of Israel. That's one account. Identifying offender. Saul used lots to find out who violated his oath. Jonathan. Jonah's ship. Sailors cast lots to determine that Jonah was responsible for the storm. See that? Choosing priests and duties. Right. How come Jonah said, hey, this is not part of my culture and heritage to cast lots? I'm not doing that. No. All right. Because that's part of our culture too, to cast lots. All right. Choosing priests or duties used to determine service order in the temple. Look at that. Replacing Judas in the New Testament. The disciples cast lots. Right. That's in the book of Acts. Lots to choose Mattathias as an apostle, praying for God to reveal his choice. All right. And then Proverbs 16:33. The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. Right. Okay. So there you go. All right. So that's what pure. So again, pure means lots. Okay. And this is important high holy day holiday, our high holy day. It's very special. It's to be remembered. Okay. So let's go back to the book of Joel. Let me finish this up. So Joel chapter 2 verse 30, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire, pillars and smoke. 31. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. Right. So we're about to go into a total blood moon, total lunar eclipse, blood moon. All right. and it so happens to fall on Purim. All right, and these devils, these Amalekites, more specifically, one of the tribes of Esau, Edom, they're going to use it to, what it looks like to justify a war with Iran. Okay, which again, this is the will of the Lord. Let's see, but everything is pointing to next week. All right, and then I was watching a former CIA, Jonathan Kirkshiris, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. All right, he was on Redacted. Okay, I'm pretty sure brothers are familiar, the apostle elders and brothers are familiar with Redacted. And he said that it's looking like the statehood of the JJs in America want to strike on a Tuesday next week. And that falls right on Purim. Okay, that very night. Okay, which our Tuesday is Iran's Wednesday, because the Eastern Hemisphere is always a day ahead. Okay, so we'll see if that's what the way the Lord wants to play this out. At the end of the day, war is imminent. They're not just throwing all these warplanes and ships and military personnel and weapons over there just for a pump fake. It is going down. This is the largest staging. All right. Now they're saying since the Gulf War. Okay, and didn't they invade Iraq or invade Kuwait, and they wanted to invade Iraq, right? Did they invade Iraq? Hold up. All right. Did in the Gulf War, Gulf War, the English language is trash. On the Gulf War, did America invade Iraq? Yes, during 1991 Gulf War, a U.S.-led coalition invaded Iraqi occupied Kuwait and moved into southern Iraq to destroy Iraqi armed forces. Right. So, so that happened in the Gulf War. They went into Iraq too. Okay, just like in 2003. So this staging is one of the largest stagings. Okay, in our generation. All right, and we're the final generation. It's time. So let's continue on. All right, and that's why it's high time to wake up out of sleep. All right, let me get that scripture, because we're almost out of here, man. This is the time of playing games and taking His word lightly. Hey, the Lord's gonna start just taking you wicked jakes out. Romans chapter 13 verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. This is a milk scripture, okay, but it's a powerful milk scripture because it's so relevant, especially now. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. Right, these jokers are going to go to war. These Amalekites are going to use Purim to to justify why they should go to war. All right, not knowing that everything they're doing is for our salvation. Okay, they're fulfilling prophecy. All right, because this is going to further speed up prophecy. All right, so that we can be delivered by Yahweh Shai. Okay, we're just waiting for that RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. Romans chapter 13 verse 12. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on an armor of light. That's right. What is the armor of light? Okay, this truth, the wisdom and understanding of the scriptures and applying them. Okay. 13. Let us walk honestly. Right, honestly, meaning with integrity, as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness. All right, that doesn't mean you can't have a beer, or a drink. All right, it's talking about your mind. Where's your mind at? Okay, are you rioting and drunken off this world? Not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying. Right, all right. This is not a time to be envious of another brother. Okay, this is not a time. Okay, 14. But put ye on the Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and make no provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust of the flesh. Right, we have to have less flesh, more spirit. Okay, less flesh, more spirit. So let's finish off on Joel chapter 2, verse 31. Again, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. 32, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. All right. And who's the whosoever? Okay. Ye men of Israel. Right. That's the whosoever. You know. Okay. So this is all about the Israelites receiving redemption, receiving salvation. Right? Acts chapter 2, verse 21. Oh, check it out. Look it. It's the precept from Joel chapter 2. It's the same precept. Acts chapter 2, verse 20. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the great and notable day of the Lord come. 21. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Meaning you have to call on, okay, the true biblical names, the Hebrew names. All right. That's what I wanted to say. The true Hebrew names. All right. Which are, okay, the Father's name is Yahweh, and the Son's name, which right here, the Lord, you see Lord, that's the Son's name is Yahweh Shai, who the world only calls Jesus, shall be saved. So you got to call on those names. If you're calling on Jesus, if you're calling on God, you're not going to make it. So, it is what it is. 22. But here's the point. Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yahweh Shai of Nazareth, a man approved of the Most High among you by miracles, wonders, and signs, which the Most High did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Right. So the point is that ye men of Israel is referring, okay, to God's chosen people and no one else. It's the Israelites. It always has been. It always will be. Okay. 32. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord, now we know who the whosoever is, the Israelites, shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion, again, it's referring to Israelites, and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance. And who's going to deliver us? Yahweh Shai, who he calls Jesus. As the Lord hath said, in the remnant whom the Lord shall call. The remnant is the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay, the ones that repented and took this truth seriously, didn't take their hand off the plow, didn't have that pride and pomp of preeminence, wanted to outshine, okay, the apostles and elders, okay, didn't have ulterior motives, okay, weren't being deceitful amongst the brethren, okay, they were honest in their walk in this truth. That's who the remnant is. That's the elect. Okay? So, is there anything more else? So, war is coming, man. We're coming into Purim. We're war. Some, such as the analysts from Daily Declaration, view it as a potential signal of divine judgment against Iran, the modern-day Persian of the Purim story. Well, all these nations are going to get judged. So, at the end of the day, Iran is going to get, okay, jacked up too, as well as you JJs and Americans, okay? Look, all you heathens are going to get effed up, okay? I'm cheering for the wars. I'm all for the wars. I don't give a damn, okay? All right. How badly you beat each other to death, okay? The point is, you beat each other to death so we get the hell up out of here, all right? And the Lord's going to make sure, at the end of the day, pertaining to prophecy, that Russia will launch nukes, and as well as back Iran, smack the shit out of them JJs, okay? And of course, what's it called? Russia will be leading the charge once again to destroy America, Babylon the Great, with nuclear weapons. Okay. Now, how we get there? That's the Lord. How many of you clowns, put each other to death? That's the Lord, and we're gonna drink wine to it. We're gonna celebrate, the Lord. Okay, judging y'all. All right, because He's making sure you destroy each other in the valley. Okay, what it's called Jehoshaphat or Yahweh Shaphat, the valley of Yahweh's judgment. Okay, and that's in the so-called Middle East. That's in West Asia. So that's it, man. I just wanted to bring this out. I thought it was very interesting that Purim is coming up. It's our high holy day. Okay, and you have these JJs that are going to use this as a ritual to go against Iran, who they know is Persia. Okay, so Lord willing, this is what it's being all set up for. So with that, I want to give all praise and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today. And citation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life for Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai's sake. Love you, brothers. Keep the door, keep the faith, keep pushing, keep fighting, keep studying, pray without ceasing, pray for each other, pray for the apostles, elders. We're almost out of here. For the futures that are watching, keep studying when you pray, pray, shalom.